Hi guys, welcome back. We're back with another video. Hope you guys are doing good and I hope you guys have been killing the markets. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell icon to be the first to watch when we upload any new content. So today, we're basically going to talk about smart money concepts, supply and demand, and the combination of btmm. Right, so what I want to emphasize today is understanding your higher time frames, right? Because people are quick to rush at the 5 minutes, and look for trades, or the 1 minute even, but they tend to forget about your higher time frames, right? And your higher time frames, if you can identify clear moves in your higher time frames, then it is easier for you to execute and also easier for you to manage your trades and minimize your risk, right? So the clear moves that I'm talking about in your higher time frames, like the weekly, are clear structure points, right? In this case, we can clearly see. This is just an example, guys. I want to show you what I mean by clear move. You can see we had a nice base area right here, right? Now drop, base drop, and price made its way back to that price area, price point right there. And from that area, we can see that we started moving to the downside, right? We had a drop and we had a base, right? This drop right here, as you can see, broke structure. So we had a break of structure right there, right? So if you can zoom in, that was our break of structure as we had the lower low, right? We had a lower low just below that. So that is our break of structure there, a nice signal there that shows us that there has been, a change in structure as price is coming from a supply zone, right? So because of this zone and the reaction right there, we had price giving us a new low, right? A new lower low breaking the structure. Some people call it BOS, break of structure, and some people call it structure breaker, right? So the type of structure points that I'm looking for or talking about are structure points where we've got a clear base area like this, right? I'm looking to take trades around these areas, right? And that's all that I look for in my higher time frames, guys, right? There's a lot of pairs you can trade on the forex market. Nobody's holding a gun to your head, right? That you need to trade one pair. So if something is not clear for you, right, then don't trade, right? The problem with people is once they don't find what they have been back testing, they just end up trading, right? Because as we all know, when people start trading, right, you might get to the point where you're forced to overtrade because you want to pay bills or you want to do 1, 2, 3, right? And that's a very dangerous thing, right? Especially for novice traders, because it will force you to trading every day, right? And even for those people, who take signals from signal providers, right? You'll be forcing the signal provider to give you 500 signals a day because you want to cover your bills, and that's not the approach that you need to, attack the markets with, right? So in the market, patience is number one. Right? I always repeat the same thing, right? 15% buy, 15% selling, and then 70% waiting, right? You need to wait, right? The waiting game in the market is very important, right? So you're not clicking buy and sell most of the time, but you're waiting, right? So that's the important thing about understanding your higher time frame structure. Okay, so we don't want to talk about previous movements a lot, right? We want to focus more on what has been happening, right? What has been happening right now. So as we can see on Euro JPY, we can clearly see where price is coming from, right? In our monthly time frame. Our monthly time frame is a very powerful time frame for us to follow, because as we can see, we have price coming back to our demand area, right? With a nice approach right there. So right, we can see price is making its way up to these areas, right? In this case, we've got a nice structure right here. We've got a nice structure that we have at this point right here. So this can be a nice area for us to expect price to push up to. Right? A very interesting area that we have right there, right? As you can see what we have right here. So for me, this can be a nice fake out zone for me, right? I want to see how price will react when price gets to this level. Right. So now, as price is moving to the upside, we are more interested in taking advantage of what's happening now. So as you can see, as price made this push, you can see we've got a rally, base, rally. So that is our base area right there. Right? You need to be able to identify these base areas. So this is what we had. A nice base area right there. And as we had that base area, we can see that price had taken out, right, we had some equal highs, just right here. And you can see what price did, right? That's a nice break of structure that we have right there as we are moving to the upside. So we had a nice reaction, right, at this area, right? So as price reacted to this area, didn't really react, on the zone, but went below it a bit, right? But of course, we always follow structure. We follow the same thing, right? As you can see, as price got here, price pushed up, right? After pushing up, we had a nice confirmed BOS, break of structure. Right, there we go. So after the break of structure, let me just clear this up. After the break of structure, what you can see is price then made its way down to this point right here. Right. So the same rule that we applied right here is the same rule. I mean, if you missed your entry down here, right, we had the same thing, a nice swing point to the upside, and we can identify a break of structure and another break of structure. And as we identify the origin of price, where price is coming from, you can see price made its way down there, and that is the reason why we are moving to the upside. I mean, this is something simple. Of course, this is the daily time frame, so this does demand patience, right? But trust me, if you can master the art of waiting, you'll be able to execute better trades, right? So when you have identified such, right, from a clean chart, right, I mean, it's very simple to see what's happening here. When you then move over to your btmm for Confluence, this is what you can identify. In your weekly time frame, this was a clean 50 bounce. Right? After a 1350 crossover, here's the first bounce, and this is the second bounce. So this adds as more confluence, right? This adds as more confluence. But for some people, they'll get very confused, especially for those people still starting out. They'll get very confused right there because when they go to the shorter time frames, you're probably seeing your own trades there, right? But as you follow market structure, it's then easier for you to catch these peaks, right? And with the help of the TDI and your confirmations, you're then able to catch good trades and, of course, work with your session timings, right? You can definitely work with your session timings. So we can see that right here, when price gave, this was a nice multi-week W formation. You can see that it took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, right? But it played out, right? And as you can see, it was a nice one, right? Because when we had this peak formation right here, right, we had 1 week of drop into a consolidation, right? As we count our levels. After that, we had another week of drop, right, and then with the last week of drop into the demand area right there. Right, so this is very interesting. When price gets to a nice supply zone, demand zone, or an order block with 3 levels, then we know that's definitely Confluence for us. So if we move over to the 15 minutes, this is where this trade happened. It happened around Asian session, right? Not really my favorite session to trade, right? But if you're stalking this, a nice peak formation, as you can see, first leg, second leg is below first leg, and we get our TDI, amazing stuff that we had right there. Right? So for those people who trade Asian session, usually this pair does move around Asian session, variations to the theme, but of course, if you were stalking this, you had so many opportunities to trade this the next day, right? Because timing is also important, right? Timing is very, very important. So this will help you. This will definitely help you, right? Get better trades. Look at that. Nice move from that order block right there, right? Clear structure, right? Remember, we always follow structure. So that's another trade. Very clean trades. And I mean, there's a lot of pairs, guys, that you can look at. If we look at GU, right? Let's start looking at GU. Remember, we're starting with our weekly, with our monthly. What's happening here? What we can identify is we've got price at this area, the price at this area right here, right? And you can see prices reacted to that area. If you go to the weekly time frame, what do we have? Right, nothing that clear, right? But I know that a lot of people will love trading pound pays only, or even GU only, right? So this is what we have. Price reacted to this supply zone right here. All right, I can see nice price approach back to that demand area right there, 3D. So this is what we see in our weekly time frame. Okay, if we go to the daily now, remember structure is very important. So this is what we have. Here's a nice order block that we have, not the best of order blocks, but just by understanding the structure, then you'll be able to find some very good trades there. Right, so if we go to our 4-hour time frame, this is what we have. Right, so just by you understanding that price is coming from a demand area, right, even if you're not sure, right, the best thing is to wait for confirmation. Right, if we've got price pushing up, what happens when price pushes up? Price creates these areas. Right, we've got price creating these areas. Here's a nice demand area, right, and then after that, if you miss that, look at what happens. This swing point, right, gives us a BOS, a break of structure. Here's our break of structure, and then once we see a break of structure, we then want to understand the origin of price, where price is coming from, right? That the zone which is controlling price. And as you can see, price makes its way down there, and then you get a nice trade to the upside. So these type of trades are trades that we then look to execute in our shorter time frames, and of course minimize our risk. That's number one, right? You always have to look to minimize your risk. So you have very good opportunities in this zone right here. So minimize your risk, be it in the 15 minutes, be it the 5 minutes. If you really know what you're doing, right, it becomes very easy for you to execute, right? Just by following the same rules, right? So by understanding a clear chart, then when you switch over to a btmm template, it becomes so easy for you to understand. We're coming from a peak formation. You look at your TDI, you can see what's happening down there. Alright, a nice move to the upside, and then just consolidation. But within this consolidation, some people, right, were very confused really. You find people doing a whole lot of nonsense there. Right? But if you have just understood your order flow, right, your supply and demand, and you know, have a checklist, right, of what works and what doesn't, you'll be able to execute better trades. So that's all I'm looking at today. Right, we're looking at how we can execute better trades just by understanding, you know, our higher time frames. Nothing much for this one. I don't really see much. All that I can identify in the weekly is prices reacted to a nice order block right there, but nothing really interesting, right? I would have loved it if this move had broken structure or something, but yeah, we can see prices reacting to that. If we go to the daily time frame, from that area, this is what we have. Right, we can see prices reacted to a nice hidden base. We've got a hidden base area right there. So as we follow structure, we can see that as price is moving from that area, drop, base, drop, we had a nice area right here, a nice decision point, type 1. Right, but not the best for me. Right, not the best of trades for me. You know, so this is I mean, it all comes back to preference and what works for you. Somebody would definitely take that trade. Right? I mean, I definitely take such a trade. That looks very good, right? If I don't really find a setup, you know, in the market, then I can look, you know, for such trades. But I'm looking for something that I know works, right? And that's just by understanding your higher time frames and by understanding what's really happening in these higher time frames. Remember, don't follow the trend, but follow the market structure. We don't follow the trend, because by the time you want to follow the trend, then these market makers are already reversing on you. Right, so I hope you guys have understood that, and I hope you guys have learned something. Right, for more education, right, and for signals, do join our free Telegram channel. Find the link in the description below, right, and become part of the community. Learn more and invest in your knowledge. Remember, knowledge is power, but the right knowledge is more powerful. Alright guys, I hope you guys have learned something from this video. Do spend time and understand your market structure. Do you understand your market structure? Before you attempt adding any EMAs, right, on your chart, you need to understand a chart, right? You need to understand order flow. You need to understand supply and demand, right? And then trust me, you'll be able to make better trading decisions. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you guys are not subscribing, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell icon to be the first to watch when we upload any new content. We have some great content coming for you guys. We haven't been posting a lot of videos, but trust me, we are definitely coming with that heat. Alright guys, I hope you guys have learned something. Thank you so much for taking your time and watching this video. Cheers.